So this is the timeline for those that don't know, DC. Let me take you through it. And you may claim that you know a little more than me. If I'm being honest, I kind of feel like, we had this one from beginning to end over at the ESPN MMA team. But here's what happened. Friday, they have this charter plane. And don't check out on me now. Are you checking your phone while I'm telling you the story? It's like I'm telling you the story.
I'm trying to pull up the call I got, the FaceTime I got from Kamaru Usman before you knew anything. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to get to the FaceTime from Kamaru Usman, the champion, telling me.
Did you screen record it?
No, I didn't screen record, but I don't get a lot of FaceTime calls. So I got a FaceTime from the champ. And the champ was like, go ahead. Run the timeline of events, and then I'll poke a hole in.
So the UFC has this charter plane that's leaving from Las Vegas to Abu Dhabi. Etihad Airways, they rented out this plane. We talked about the hub cities, the idea that you came up with like 3 months ago. Vegas, London, Moscow, and Sao Paulo. And DC's in camp right now because he's pulling out the big jug of water. This is the camp jug of water right here. This is the real deal. Holyfield. It's great. It's tremendous. Can't see the hair today, but I'm assuming it's just as good as usual. In any event, so they have this plane leaving from Las Vegas, and word starts to trickle in that Usman and Gilbert Burns aren't at the airport about to get on the flight. We find out late Friday night, Gilbert Burns out of the card, not feeling well. So then Saturday morning, we hear from Masvidal's management team, and they say that he is, quote unquote, absolutely willing to step up. Now, DC, sometimes these things happen. People say, hey, I'm in, but it's really kind of for show, for PR, right? 6 days notice. Like, is it really going to happen, especially considering all the issues that the UFC had with Masvidal over the past month? Well, come Saturday afternoon, July 4th, Saturday evening, they start talking about it. Positive negotiations, moving in the right direction. There's a path forward, all that stuff and more. And come late Saturday night, Sunday, all sides, Usman, Masvidal, UFC agree to the deal. Sunday morning, Jorge Masvidal flies from Miami to Las Vegas, private jet, lands in Las Vegas, takes his test. Usman, who's now back in Dallas, returns to Vegas Sunday morning as well, checks into the hotel. They both take their tests. They both pass their tests. Their COVID-19 test, that is. And as we are speaking, they are on their way to Abu Dhabi, not on the same charter flight. This flight was for the July 15th card, Ige Cater. Usman on the charter, Masvidal on the private jet. They are headed that way. Now, they have several tests to take between now and Saturday, but this fight is signed and it's a done deal. It's Masvidal, it's Usman. It's the fight I said I wanted from day one. It's the fight I said was going to happen, and it's happening in 5 days, July 11th. So let me ask you this. Now that I've laid it all out, DC, are you surprised after Burns pulled out on late Friday night that they actually got the deal done with Masvidal, considering all the issues they had over the past month?
Whenever Burns fell out and Masvidal said he would absolutely fight, I was certain they were going to get a deal done.
Really?
Yes, because here was the thing that allowed for Jorge to get what he was asking for, right? It was going to take something out of the ordinary for him to get what he wanted, right? Because they had come to that point, both sides, where they were like, we're not willing to do business, right? It is what it is. I'm not going to give you what you want. Well, I'm not going to give you the fight because you're not giving me what I want. Great. But here comes this extenuating circumstance, right? A big circumstance that allows you to come back to the table and go, hey, are you a little more willing now to give me what I want? And the UFC is like, you know what, man? This is Fight Island. This is a big card. We need to blow this up. We need Usman here. And this is the guy. So, yeah, I was certain. And I never questioned whether or not Jorge Masvidal wanted to fight, right? He wants to fight because he's a fighter. Nobody gets as many fights as he has, fights in the backyard, not be a true fighter. So I knew the moment they can come to terms financially, the fight would happen. And there was a great chance the terms could be met under these circumstances, opposed to having Gilbert Burns looking so good and being such a viable second option.
And in case you're wondering, I spoke to Jorge very late Sunday night / Monday morning, 1:30 a.m. In New York. And he told me he's very happy with his deal. He feels like it's not everything he wanted, but he's very happy with where he's at, and he's on his way. So let me ask you this. Everyone wanted to see this fight, right? This is the fight that we were all promised.
Everybody did. Everybody wants to see the fight.
Well, you were more campaigning for Gilbert. You said,
I thought Gilbert looked so great in that last fight that he could get a title shot, right? And he got it but we also knew where the UFC and Jorge were in terms of the negotiations. So it was very reasonable to think that Gilbert Burns was going to jump him. And Gilbert Burns had beat the former champion and number 1 contender. So, yeah, I thought it would be Burns' fight. But when there's no Burns, there's nobody else but Masvidal.
Sorry, what? I heard beep, 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 beep.
Was that?
Beep. Oh, that's DC backtracking. I don't know. If
I'm backtracking.
That's
You telling
DC
me I'm backtracking
on the broadcast. Oh, this is the number 1 contender.
Well, he is the. Hey, and guess what? And I would. Oh my goodness! I knew you would gloat.
Beep,
I knew you would gloat.
beep,
I knew you would gloat. See, that was one of the things. This was why about canceled coming on today, because I knew you would gloat.
I knew you cancel.
About cancel because here comes this guy. I told you so. I told you so. But the reality is, the fight went to Burns. The fight went to Burns. And then COVID got Burns. So let's not go acting like you were just right the whole time.
And by the way, this isn't an interview anymore. You can't cancel on me. That's not how this works, okay?
I'm about cancel.
It doesn't work like this. This isn't 6 months ago. In any event, I just want to say, I hope that Gilbert Burns feels better. No one wishes that upon anyone. And you have to feel for the guy. He had the fight. He was literally in Vegas on his way to go board a plane, and it gets taken away from him. It's the right call, obviously, but you do feel for him. And we'll talk more about what this means for Gilbert in a second. But because we wanted to see this fight so badly, is there a part of you, DC, that is like, man, 6 days notice, like, I kind of wish we'd get a full camp. I kind of wish we'd get all that. Like, don't you want to see these guys at their best, or do you like it because it's these crazy circumstances?
Could I be honest with you, bro? For a long time, because of my situation with Jones, I've always thought Malky and Abe and all those guys were idiots. I've always thought they were idiots. I'm very cordial when I see the guys, but I'm like, these guys are idiots. They're not. They're genius. They're smarter than I ever thought. They're genius. They got what they wanted, the money, right? They got the money, and George got his contract. He's on 6 days notice in a fight where he's a 3-1 dog. But even if it wasn't 6 days notice, he'd probably still be about a 3-1 dog. So it's like everything is salvaged. He gets to fight the fight with Usman. If he wins, his legend will go to heights that could never have been imagined. But if he loses, he took the fight on 6 days notice. What's he supposed to do? Usman's been in camp, ready to fight. They have truly created a no-lose situation for Jorge Masvidal, because now Jorge's the guy that stepped up, right? Jorge stepped up. So now the UFC's got some good favor with him. Jorge got his money. So now Jorge's got his money. Jorge's got his title fight. Now he's got his title fight. But under circumstances where if you win, you become a legend. But if you lose, you actually lose nothing because you took the fight on short notice. But the reality is, this was when the odds makers made the odds, they probably would have instilled him as about a 2.5 to 3 to 1 underdog to begin with. So it's not like much has changed. They're genius. The Kawa family, they're all geniuses. Malky and Abe Kawa are geniuses. Jorge Masvidal is a genius. They're all geniuses.
I never thought I'd hear you say that about the Kawa
I didn't want to say it, but like, hey, credit what credit's due. They're all genius.
Yeah, I mean, who would have ever thought that it would?
But think about that, though, right? What does Jorge lose next week if he loses to Kamaru Usman?
People will love him regardless.
Why?
Because he stepped up.
And what else? Short notice?
But yeah, that's what I mean, because he stepped up on short notice.
Yeah, it's like he didn't have a full training camp. He's such a gangster. Wow, he stepped up on 6 days and fought the champ. Like, it's perfect. It's like no lose.
You know what's so great about this? Like, I was watching that video of him at the airport yesterday, and he's just strolling. Like, only in this freaking sport do you get drama like this, right? You don't even get this in boxing. Like, you'll never get a Terrence Crawford taking a fight on 6 days notice to salvage a card, or a Shakur Stevenson, even the younger guys. You don't get this kind of drama where one guy pulls out, and then it's always the same thing, right? Someone pulls out, unfortunate reasons, and Twitter starts to like swell, and then one guy raises his hand, and people are praying, please, 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 and then he saves the day. You know, what's one of the most famous moments in UFC history? Nate Diaz, 11 days notice. Conor McGregor, Michael Bisping, 2 weeks notice. Luke Rockhold, right? Like, these are some of the greatest moments in the sport's history, and it comes under these circumstances.
No, listen, remember me and Jones, Anderson Silva, 2 days.
Yes.
Big Anderson stepped up. Big Anderson came into that fight, fought me, lost, but what does it matter? He stepped up on 2 days notice at 40 years old. So it's
I want to bring up that one because, like, the guy who was there won. In this case, it's like I'm talking about the guys who took the fight on short notice.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought you meant like people just stepping up.
But it's still great. Yeah, people get excited about that sort of thing. And it doesn't happen in any other sport, right? It would never happen in any other sport. And so here you have a situation where I believe now, and I want to know what you think, I think we may have added 500,000 pay-per-view buy. Like you can't buy this kind of PR, right? Like what happened this weekend. Am I too crazy? Am I drinking the Kool-Aid here? I think this show is going to be a smashing success. Smashing.
I hope it's a smashing success. I thought it was going to be very successful regardless, but 500,000 pay-per-views, Ariel.
Masvidal,
That's a lot of buys. I mean, I think honestly, adding Jorge Masvidal to a card that was already good, I bet that adds you 400. I bet you that adds you 300,000 pay-per-views. But
okay.
500,000 area. That's just doing 500,000 in this climate has been pretty much the benchmark, right? When guys are getting the 500,000 pay-per-views at all has kind of been the benchmark. So to put 500 on top of what they were going to do with Aldo, Volkanovski, Holloway, Usman, Burns, that's a lot of pay-per-views, but I would hope so.
He's a huge star already. And if he wins this fight, in my opinion,
go to the moon.
Like Conor, Khabib, Jorge, right? Like he's in that stratosphere.
He'll go to, if he wins this fight on this short notice, because remember what that did for Nate.
Yeah.
Here's the issue. He's such a big star, right? Let's say it. He's a bigger star than Usman, right? Like everybody can say that, like to the general public, he's a bigger star. When you want to go to that stratosphere, though, when you want to shoot out of when you want to shoot the space, you kind of need that guy a little bit to help you. Like Khabib went to that level because of Conor. Nate Diaz, his profile was big, but he had never proven to be an over-the-top draw. But then when he fought and beat Conor, that made him that guy, because I know what Nate added to Stipe and I's pay-per-view card. He's a massive star now, but it's like you need that guy. Does him? I think the circumstance, if he can get past Usman, will allow him to go to heights that he's never seen before. But I think, honestly, more than anything, he elevates Usman when the fight starts. I think it's like the challenger elevates the champion in this instance more than the champion elevating the challenger.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.